last shoot I had pink eye?
Yeah.
I feel like every shoot we have something.
We're rolling with
Wonder what it's gonna be me next. I'm gonna have something. What are we doing this first video on? I don't even know what we're talking about. What is our first video on, Jess?
how it's different from 9 to 5. We'll just do that.
Okay. Let's do that.
Ready, set, real estate.
It's been a while, eh? How many times do you practice that in front of the mirror?
You gotta do it hard.
Ready, set, real estate. Did I do that right? Okay.
That was good. So this video, we're gonna do how real estate is different than like a 9 to 5 job. Have you ever worked a 9 to 5 job?
Yeah, I have, yeah.
What job was it?
Call center, Dairy Queen.
Oh yeah,
I
maybe
usually
working at Dairy
took
Queen.
extra shifts, so I worked later, but yeah.
Right.
Not into the 9 to 5 life personally, but
Yeah. How old were you when you started real estate?
25 or 26?
Yeah, I was
26.
22.
Okay.
22, yeah, almost 23. So I didn't have a lot because I was in school before, so I didn't really have a lot of 9 to 5. I guess I kind of did, like in the summertime and stuff. So maybe not coming from like a lot of experience of what 9 to 5 like professional world is like behind a computer all day maybe. But in terms of like how it would be different if I were to kind of guess, and from what I've learned and stuff from other people is that the biggest thing is probably that with real estate, like you're in full control of how your day looks. So in a job, you obviously have an outline of what you have to do and certain hours that you have to do the work and stuff. And in real estate, you're just so like on your own that you could easily just work like 10 till 1 and be like, I'm gonna take the rest of the day off and go to the beach or something. Like you can easily do that.
Maybe to an extent.
Yeah, when you're starting out though, and you don't have a lot of business, say.
But then
it's
during
very
those
easy.
hours that you're free, you should be doing stuff to build your business.
Exactly. So I think what separates the people that end up succeeding in real estate are the people who understand that, especially in the beginning, that when you are done all the work that you might have had on your phone in terms of like what to do for the day, and now it's 12:30 and you're like, oh my God, like I got 4 more hours to fill up here. What am I going to do? It's the people that know where to focus, and even though that work, it's prospecting, right? That's gonna like suck, like messaging people on Facebook or Instagram or doing video content, doing things that get your name out there. It's the people that are willing to acknowledge that and still push through that feeling of like especially because you're on your own, like you're
Yeah, you don't have someone making you do that.
Yeah, you're like in your house on your computer. You're like, I could easily just like watch a movie, or I could easily just like go do whatever else I want to do that's more enjoyable right now. So being able to like push through that and make yourself do the hard thing in the beginning and develop those appointments and develop your clientele. Because if you can't, you're just always you're never going to be able to fill up your day. Like business is never just going to come to you. Whereas working a 9 to 5, it's just a different environment, right? Because you're not out there in a sales role probably in a lot of 9 to 5. So you're doing certain activities that your job entails. So you don't have to really worry about like that part of
You can
your
turn
day.
the phone off and work off at the end of the day and go home.
Yeah, that too.
So
What
with
else
real
would you
estate,
say is
not
the
so much.
biggest like differences with the 9 to 5 and real estate?
Well, I think with real estate, but also working for yourself, the work is kind of always with you, right? So it's important for people to set boundaries, but you know, you could be shopping in the mall or something and then have to deal with a real estate phone call,
Yeah.
you know?
So yesterday,
that doesn't happen with a 9 to 5 usually.
yeah, yesterday my mortgage broker was out sea-doing on the water, and one of our transactions had something come up, so she had to deal with it. It took like an hour and a half. She said she was literally on the water, just kind of floating around on the Sea-Doo on the phone with her partner, like driving the Sea-Doo, because she had to deal with whatever came up, and she had the day to obviously do the Sea-Dooing and whatnot. So having a partner that's patient with you, that's able to understand that things could come up and you have to just kind of deal with it, because it could literally be the difference between like a transaction falling apart or something bad happening. And if it isn't going to be the case where that's that bad, then maybe it can wait. So you have to learn to like prioritize what's needing to be dealt with right away and what you can push off maybe till the next day. So just to kind of like answer the difference between 9 to 5, it's more just knowing your own boss. And so that comes with pros and cons. And in the beginning, you're gonna have a lot of time. And so you have to like do the hard thing and prospect and get those appointments and generate those leads. Whereas with a job, you're probably just thrown into a situation where you're busy to begin with and you just perform those tasks and stuff. And the stress, like you wouldn't really know the stress of like doing your own thing if you never did it. So maybe you would be dealing with other stresses, but I'd say that stress factor of like having to come up, make yourself busy, being on your own versus your boss giving you all the work, the difference there is probably the biggest thing that I see with the two like different 9 to 5 and being a real estate agent.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, well, you have to have boundaries, like I was saying, but the hours can definitely be different, obviously, not 9 to 5 with real estate for the most part. And yeah, it can really move over into your life, like you said, with the mortgage agent on the Sea-Doo. So that's where I think boundaries really come into place. But I know that a lot of realtors, especially newer to the business, struggle with that because they feel that if they don't have boundaries, that people might go elsewhere. But if somebody's not willing to respect your boundaries, then maybe they should go elsewhere.
Yeah, it's true. It's kind of like the trade-offs in the beginning where I feel like you don't really have a name for yourself and whatnot, so you do need to kind of take on everything you possibly can take on. And eventually you get to a point where people might want to just work with you because of whatever value you have to offer. And so then therefore they're willing to like, they're okay with you being like, I can't work Sundays or I can't do anything right now from after 7 p.m. because of whatever reasons. They're like, oh, it's all good. Whereas back in the beginning, imagine not having anyone, no one knowing you, and be like, oh, I can't help you on the weekend or something. They'd be like, well, we're just going to go use so-and-so at whatever brokerage, right? So that's why I think starting young is good, because then that way you probably don't have, if you don't have like a family and kids and all this stuff and you are able to work a lot, then you can kind of just, you know, put that like your own personal feelings aside in that sense and just go all in with it. And then once you've developed that kind of reputation and you can start calling your own shots a little bit more to an extent, right?
Right.
But it's not like anything crazy. It's not like we're saying, hey, clients, you got to wait a week for this. It's
Oh,
more
yeah,
like
no.
just,
It's like, can I eat food or sleep for a bit?
At night because I got to like, you know, be asleep for my newborn or something like that.
Gotta sleep, yeah.
So it's just establishing those boundaries, like you're saying, too, that are so important and something you probably don't think about a lot in a 9 to 5, I would think.
No.
But because we haven't worked a lot of 9 to 5s, maybe we're just not good people to ask about that because I don't really know. Like, it's been so long.
There's nothing wrong with it, obviously. It just wasn't really for me. I feel like the way that my life is now, and obviously how I've built it too, is a whole other thing. Now it just makes way more sense for me. Like, I couldn't imagine a 9 to 5 for me. It wouldn't work.
Yeah.
I mean, if I had to, obviously, but yeah, I just...
Do you ever imagine in the future having, I mean, maybe with the team you can kind of set this up a little bit better that way, but having more time on the weekends or not having to work in evenings and stuff, a little like manipulating that time a little bit more, like
That's
making it
pretty
better?
much how it is now.
That's good.
I mean, not all the time, but
Yeah.
you know, and it has never affected anybody because, yeah, we just happen to meet a lot during the day.
Yep. No, I'm sure that it all works out nicely like that. Yeah, I want to get there at one point, so it'll happen. Sweet. Well, I think that was good. Differences between 9 to 5 and real estate, there's a lot of them. I feel like there's like 10 more things that we didn't even talk about that you could talk
yeah, for
about
sure.
when it comes to the differences, but cool.
Money side of things. You should talk about that. There's a definitive difference, right? Because you don't get a commission, you get like stability in finances.
Yeah.
Can you touch on that?
Yeah. Good question. So I would say like the biggest thing that helped me, I don't even know if anyone told me this or I just kind of came up with it myself, but I'm sure I heard it somewhere, was just like give yourself whatever amount of time and make no judgment. So I would give myself like 4 months in the beginning where I wouldn't get in my head about like, oh, I'm not doing enough or I didn't make enough money or I didn't do enough deals or something. And I would say to myself, if I do 0 deals for that 4 months, like, don't worry about it. Everything's fine. At the end of the 4 months, then at that point, I can go, how much more time can I go until I expect whatever my expectations are, 2 deals by next month or 1 deal by 3 months from now, whatever it is. Everyone's timeline's different. But giving myself those 4 months to like just do all the hard things, the prospecting and door knocking and doing the open houses and like having no expectations made me more sure I'm not going to quit. And I think that when people start, they get in their head after 2 months of like, oh, nothing's happened yet. And then they contemplate the quitting side. But if you are really stubborn with yourself and you're like, no, I said 3 months, then I think that it increases your odds of succeeding long term. But that kind of comes down to having a cushion because you'd have to still pay for your bills and stuff for that 3-4 months or whatever. That helped me a lot. Do you want to touch on that? You forgot what the question was? What was the question, Janish?
The money, like,
Yeah.
there's stability is not there, right? You're not getting salary.
Right. Oh, okay, I'll talk about that.
Yeah.
So the stability in real
Like, does it bother you how the stability, like in the beginning, did it bother you at all that you didn't have like a paycheck maybe once a month or something like that?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that can be tough for realtors or business people in general, right? It's not steady like a 9 to 5 would be, where you get paid once a week and you know how much you're getting. So that part can be difficult. You have to really have a lot of willpower and hope that everything's going to work out and keep pushing.
Yeah, I think having like a partner who's like on your side, you have a good plan, a certain amount of time that you're not like going to give up because you didn't get the results you want, which is really what I just said earlier. And having like emergency fund, like some money saved up so you can not like be too stressed about it, because it's going to be stressful to begin with. So like imagine like 3 months goes by, you haven't done any transactions, you just started, you've wasted $15,000 on your personal expenses. Now you're worried about that, plus the fact that you haven't got any transactions under your belt yet. That might be a lot for you and you might quit. And then where are you at that point, right? Now you just did all that time to get your license, you just wasted all that money, now you quit and you're back at square one again. So you have to be really, I'd say the best thing you could do then is talk to a real estate agent that's been doing it and get really specific about like how much time really should I wait till I can probably get paid, and how much money you have to have saved up and have like a good plan.
And I think it's mindset too, because
I think all of it's mindset.
when I, got into real estate, it wasn't strange for me to have to work super hard, because I always have had to. So it was second nature to me, I guess. All of those things that you need to do to be successful, whereas it might not be to some people, right? So it's a whole new world for them. So even though I was in a different business in real estate versus when I had my own small business, different business, but same concepts are applied to real estate as well. So I knew that if I put in the work and did the things, I would be okay. But yeah.
I'd say too, one last thing is that when you think about like starting your own business, real estate can be really good because you don't have a lot of overhead, right? Cops are coming for us. You don't have a lot of overhead. You don't have like a lot of employees, or you don't have like a real estate or a shop that you have to maintain and stuff. So you're just on your own. So your expenses are low business wise. And so that probably makes it a lot easier than a business that's starting out inventing a new product, or like a new franchisee, right? It's opening up a new Burger King or something that has this huge payroll. That I think is a lot harder. So I think for those who want to dabble into the self-employment world, I think doing real estate is a good starting point. So as long as you like real estate. Well,
not for dabbling.
Well, just like when you're comparing like real estate versus opening a Burger King,
yeah.
What's a bigger risk? Probably the Burger King. So don't dabble into real estate, go all in with it. I agree, but I would say like the benefit is with real estate, there's not a lot of risk in the sense of your business expenses. Right? Like what's your business expenses? Like your business expenses a lot of the time are like when you have a listing and stuff. But if you
there
have
are
a listing,
quite a few expenses just to your brokerage and everything too when you're starting out.
Yeah.
And to get yourself out there, but
there's still money, but it's not maybe as much as
like Burger King,
Yeah, Burger King, for instance.
So if you're thinking about real estate or Burger King.
This ad is sponsored by Burger King. This podcast is sponsored by Burger King, I mean. Sweet, well I think that wraps it up.
Thanks.